From the grind to the glory, one man's journey proves that heart, hustle, and determination change the game. This is Catch as Catch Can with George Tinsley Sr., where adversity is met head-on and champions are made. Here's George.
Welcome to Catch as Catch Can. I'm George Tinsley Sr., former professional athlete, entrepreneur, author, and your host. This is a space where we sit down with leaders who face real challenges, learned real lessons, and kept moving forward.
Turning obstacles into opportunity.
Today we have with us Phebe Trotman, who is a multi-Hall of Fame athlete, award-winning entrepreneur, and best-selling author of Never Quit on a Bad Day book series. A dynamic speaker, coach, resilience mentor, she equips individuals, teams, and organizations with the mindset, discipline, and the courage to rise through challenges and perform at their highest level. A six-time national champion, Phebe has earned honors including NAIA Women's Soccer Player of the Year and Women's League Player of the Year, and has been inducted into multiple sports Hall of Fames in British Columbia and Canada. British Columbia, Canada. In business, she rose to the top rank of her international organization, earning Global Distributor of the Year and other prestigious awards. Today, she blends elite sports and entrepreneurial experiences to help others build confidence, developing a champion mindset, and pursuing their goals with intentions, energy, and belief. Welcome, Phebe.
Thank you so much.
We're glad to have you. You had such an outstanding background there and successful career. So we're going to dive deep today and let you share those experiences and turning your obstacles to opportunities to become who you are today. So I want to start off by asking you, what inspired your journey from elite sports to entrepreneurship and mentorship?
Absolutely. Well, it's been a unique journey, I have to say. And first and foremost, I just want to say a massive thank you for having me on your show. You know, your tagline of turning obstacle into opportunity completely aligns with everything that I believe and have experienced over my own journey. So I just appreciate you and what you're doing to encourage and inspire and to motivate. And so my journey it was interesting because my parents were always entrepreneurial. They worked a career, if you will, but they also had kind of side projects, and my older brother did as well. And so I was always open to the idea of becoming an entrepreneur or having a business, or I knew I wanted to have something. And I was working full time, though, at the time when the entrepreneur bug, if you will, kind of started to hit. And I had multiple projects on the side. I, started my own coaching company for soccer with a teammate of mine. I was learning about real estate investing. I really wanted to, and I'm still a lifelong learner. I love to challenge myself. I love to continue to learn and grow. And then I found an online business, and it's interesting because originally I just thought it was going to be something on the side. And then my full-time position that I had, I was laid off. The company went bankrupt. And so it was this moment of, what's next? And I feel like it can be such a gift depending on how we look at situations, and the fact that I had a moment to kind of look forward and go, what do I want my life to look like? And I realized that I did want to be an entrepreneur. And that's really when I dove in head first. And it was a rocky start. It really was. I learned a lot of lessons the hard knocks way, and but just kept going at it and kept pursuing and kept staying focused on the ultimate goal and long-term goals. And now here we are years later. So I'm very grateful for the journey.
Great insight there. Most entrepreneurs will tell you somewhat of the same thing, that it's never a smooth path, and every day is a new day and always a challenge to get it going. But that's the exciting part about it, to wake up and know that there's something new going to happen today, no matter how many years you've been doing what you do in whatever field that is. But let's go back to your early childhood and tell us about growing up and some of the challenges and some of the things that happened in your early life that carried you through to where you are today.
Yeah, it's interesting when we just, sit and pause, and I've been reflecting kind of on early childhood, if you will, and just, I mean, multiple moments. I'm so grateful that I had the parents that I had, and because they taught me so many life lessons. And I even remember I was part of Brownies, and I remember there were a few girls that were just so mean. They didn't like me because of the color of my skin, and it was rough. And I remember being with my parents and just crying and being like, I don't want to go back. I'm done. And my parents, rather than instead of just pulling me from it, which, at the time, that's all I wanted them to do, they refocused me on saying, well, who does like you? Like, who are the friends in there? And we're going to see that we're going to finish this. We're going to finish it at the end of this term in Brownies. If you really don't want to do it, there's other things you can do, but we're going to finish what we started in that way. And we're not going to let someone else, because they don't like you, because of the color of your skin. It was a tough lesson at a young age to allow them to determine what I do. And so in hindsight, looking back on that now, I can give you so many stories of times where my parents, chose to reframe a situation. They helped me look at it through a different lens, if you will. And by doing that in that moment with Brownies, it did teach a tough lesson in terms of, a tough lesson, but a great lesson to really focus on what we can control. And my parents just redirected me. Okay, well, those girls don't like you, but where are your friends? Who are the ones who like you for who you are? And to spend more time with them. And they did talk to the Brownie troop leader and everything like that. They did those things too, but they really helped me realize, at a very young age. And that happened through soccer as well, where they would just remind me to focus on what I can control and to really go where you're celebrated, where people appreciate you, and to focus on that rather than focusing on the people who don't.
Mhm. So your early childhood you grew up in what area of the country
So I
did you
grew
grow
up
up?
in a small community outside of Vancouver, BC, Canada.
Okay, okay, all
Mhm,
right.
mhm.
And you mentioned there were some potential racial concerns and so forth, and that you then maybe lack of self-esteem at that particular time. That the Brownies may have helped you develop more confidence in sticking with it. Am I correct there?
I do think so, yes, but my parents always instilled a big, people my parents, people of faith, and we always believed in terms of that we are created for a reason and a purpose, and so they instilled a lot of self-esteem even before situations like that, and I'm so grateful they did, because it allowed, I'd say, my brother and I to navigate some of those tougher situations. And that's, again, just one example. There's other examples that had nothing to do with race that, where you just there are gonna be obstacles, as you have in your tagline, right? There are gonna be those challenges, but
Sure.
parents remind us to focus on who we are as people.
Sure. I wanted our audience to understand that those challenges that you had and how you matriculated through them. You mentioned soccer. Soccer. You started playing soccer at what point in your educational growth?
So I started playing soccer at 5 years old. My older brother played, and so I think I was the little kid sister that I was getting, kind of dragged around to his practices and his games, and so, my parents ended up signing me up too, and I've played ever since.
Okay. And when did you know that you had a skill set in soccer? What point of your early childhood?
It started pretty early because my brother's 4 years older and older cousins, and we were always playing soccer, so I did well on that team when I first started, and I just continued my love for the game. I really love to compete. I was used to playing my first team I played on was an all-boys team, so I was the only little girl, only person of color on an all-boys team, but it didn't matter because we played soccer, we loved it, and eventually I moved on to a girls team, and I just continued to put in the work, and I really just love to play soccer, and so that really carried through.
Soccer in Vancouver. I'm thinking weather. Did weather conditions play any part in
Weather
the soccer?
conditions Weather
Yeah.
conditions in Vancouver it can be a character growth moment first, definitely, definitely. So, yeah, I mean, with the season where we play through basically September to March/May, if you will, and so you're playing in a lot of rain, you're playing in cold weather, we play, rain or shine. It's the times that when they'll cancel will be extreme weather conditions, but we are outside most of the time, and so you learn to brave those elements as well.
Yeah, yeah, I played professional basketball, and I remember there was a team in Vancouver at one particular time. had a short stint up there, and attendance was obviously a part of that problem. So, of course, rain, being real rainy up there, it had a I think had something to do with the Seattle team, United States,
Mhm.
going away there for a period of time. But getting back to your growing up in high school, you playing soccer and in your education. What did you think you wanted to do professionally at that point? Was it a, a teacher? Was it going to be a coach, or what was your thoughts at that time?
Yeah, well, in high school and university, my first year, like, my focus was I actually thought I was gonna go into law, either law or medicine. I was kind of the directions in the high school years, and then when I started university, I did gravitate more towards the sciences, and then I graduated with a degree in kinesiology with sort of a plan of pursuing whether it be a kind of sports medicine or athletic therapy or physiotherapy, and it is interesting how life can take some twists and turns because that was my original plan, and then I was working while I was playing soccer, and it just kind of continued on where I was like, do I want to go back to school? I wasn't sure anymore, and because I had this entrepreneur bug and the idea of sort of having a chance to really continue to learn and grow and push myself in that entrepreneurial world, really I got excited about it, and so I ended up just continuing on in that path.
Mhm. So, what university did you go to?
I went to Simon Fraser University, which is here in Burnaby, BC.
Okay, all right, and so you started participating professionally, getting paid at what level? Was it? Were you still in high school? Were you in college, or was this
So
after college?
this was after college. So at the
Oh,
time, there was a league called, yeah, W League, which was the highest kind of in, you'd say, Canada and the US at that time for women's soccer. And so I participated in the W League after university.
okay, okay, okay. So you're receiving a lot of honors, and are you still in school then? Walk us through that career and what you were experiencing now. Some of the low points and some of the high points, and how you turned them around.
Yeah, absolutely. So when I started in university playing soccer, I mean, I was recruited to play. I didn't have a guaranteed starting spot because we had a great team. And so really I came off the bench most of my first year in university and I did start some games, but really I came off the bench. Now, if we go back like several years when I was about 13, I had tried out for a provincial team. I'll give you the short version, but I didn't make that team. And it was a pivotal moment in the sense where that summer I sort of made a decision that whatever team I played on, that I was going to be an impact player. And what that meant to me was that I was going to make my presence known, felt, and seen, and that I would play to the best of my ability, whatever time I was given on the park. And so I really took that attitude into my playing career at university, really making sure when I stepped on the field that, my presence was known, felt, and seen. And we had a great first year. We ended up losing in the national championship final. And that was one of those moments that it hurt a lot. Like you're grateful for the opportunity to compete at that level. But when you lose in that final and really taking that, intensity and that focus and wanting to do better the next year. And so the second year of university, we had a great run, made it to the national championship, lost in that national championship again. And so that fuel, that fire and that's why I just say it's so important to look at experiences and channel that, the things that didn't go well, what can you learn from them? How do you take that focus and that energy and move it forward? In my third year of university, we did not have a great season. It was not a great year in terms of success on the field, but we learned a lot. And then the last year was really the year where as a team we had a rocky start, and I still remember this moment. We lost a couple of games back to back in early in the season, and myself and a few seniors, we were kind of sitting on the way SFU back then, there was a hill that overlooked the soccer field, and we're sitting there and we were just in this, we were frustrated, we were angry, we were disappointed, we are kind of going around of everything that wasn't working well. And then it was this like moment, and I've asked my friends and seen like who did the turning point, and none of us really remember what happened, but something shifted, and we realized in that moment, if we were going to turn this season around, we had to, number one, it had to start with us. We had to level up our own performance by showing up early, working harder, leading by example, truly, and also making sure that every player on the field on our team knew that they were important. They knew that like you matter, whether you're, you might not get on the field one game, but you still matter. You're still part of this team. And if we're going to win this, we all have to come together. And if we're going to turn the season around, we're all going to have to come together. And so we came together as a team, and we went on to end up winning the national championship in our final year after 5 overtimes of soccer. And so that, for reference, for those somebody that would back then, we played golden goal, where you just keep playing till someone scores. And we almost played 2 full soccer games. Like, that's how long of a game it was. And back and forth and battle. And we ended up going on to win. And that is just a testament, though, because all the losses, all the, frustrating moments, the times it didn't go the way we wanted to, the long practices, the early mornings, all that is why we were able to win in those 5 overtimes, is really that heart, that drive, that desire, and all that, game time is great. It's where you see the results of the hard work that's done behind the scenes, which you understand as well too as an athlete. It's like all the stuff that you do behind the scenes is why you can have the success in front of others and on the field.
Exactly. And some of our audience is kind of chiming in there, indicating that from those losses that it turned your growth around. You and your teammates sitting on that hill overlooking the field and coming together as one mentally and so forth. I'm sure that had a great impact on that particular double. You said it almost like playing 2 games, without, I would say, overtime in here in the States. But what does provincial mean? Tell us about what you said you played on the provincial team.
So provincial team would be the equivalent of like a state team. So in Canada, we have provinces, the US, the states. And so it was a provincial team. And so, no, I didn't make that provincial team. I got cut from that team. And that's where, again, it was such a pivotal moment, because I was a great player in the community and sort of went in thinking I was playing a different position and just didn't end up showing out the way that I would have hoped or wanted to. And so, in hindsight, as much as that was a tough experience, again, it helped me focus on what I can control. And it served me so well in terms of as an athlete, more importantly, though, as a person.
Right. So you compete in soccer. Did you enter into any business at that particular time, or you stayed in soccer, and then once you quit, you started into pursuing your entrepreneurial skills?
So a little bit of both. Like, there was moments that I was doing some things on the side while I was playing, just again, because I love to continue to learn and grow and saw needs in different ways. And so that was happening while I was playing. And then really it just kind of continued to evolve into the point where I was focusing on building an online business. And that was after I had stopped playing soccer.
Okay.
On the professional level. I was still playing, just not at the same level.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So did you actually represented Canada in some of the games?
No, not with soccer. No.
Okay. All right. Okay. Just wanted to make sure we were clear there. So tell us your first business venture was what? What was
my first business venture? That would be, well, let's talk realistically as older. I could say, selling brownies and Girl Guide cookies. But the first one I would say that I actually, that does count, right? You start somewhere, would be with coaching soccer. So myself and a teammate, we decided to I was doing a lot of coaching for other clubs and different people that were setting up camps and clinics. And we decided to start kind of our own program where we would go around the province to different communities, some of the smaller communities. As professional players, we'd bring some of our teammates in and we'd run camps and clinics. And it was a great way to connect with the community, to help some of the communities that didn't have as many resources, if you will. And so we did that again while we were playing. We would do that sort of in the off season or when we had breaks, and learned a lot from that first business, in terms of like reaching out into the communities and organizations and how do you connect with them? How can you show what you're going to bring to them? And then delivering on that, right? when you make those initial connections is it takes a lot of follow-up. It takes delivering a great product. It's making sure you're connecting with the people who you're serving and finding out from them what can we do to serve better and then to learn from that. And so we had that business for several years. Again, it was on the side, and I still coach to this day because I absolutely love it. And it's a chance again to just connect and to share some of the wisdom that I've learned along the years from other people, from myself as an athlete, and to continue to pass it on.
Mm-hmm. So you've been coaching now how long?
Oh, so George, now everyone's going to figure out how old I am. Okay, well, let's just say it's been about 28 years that I've coached for.
Okay. Okay. So what is the most rewarding part of the coaching and seeing the development of your players or former players as they've gone on and come back to tell you about some of the things that they learn from you? What is that? How do you feel? What is the most impacting part of that?
Coaching, I describe it as such a gift that we as coaches have the opportunity to impact players in so many ways. And I'll share a quick story actually, because I can see it above there. So if you see that little blue soccer ball there, I actually went to Kenya in 2011. And so when I was in Kenya, we brought supplies and we went to build a classroom on a school. And so some of the younger players there, those are the soccer balls. So there's actually two, the blue one, there's one behind. And for those of you who are just listening in, if you're not able to see, it's basically made out of plastic bags and twine. And so the kids, they actually kind of rummage around, they collect plastic bags, they find twine, and they actually create a soccer ball. And so we had brought soccer balls from here, and they gave me one to bring back. And I took it to one of the sessions that I was coaching at the time. I had a little under 6 girls team, and we had this one ball, and the girls would consistently like, I want that ball. I want that ball. I want that ball. And so I brought this blue ball to a session to share with them, like once I came back from Kenya, here, this is what these players are playing with them. Some of them in this community, this is what they have. We have all these soccer balls and we're focused on, arguing over this one ball. We have all of these balls that we can use. And it was so interesting and the reason I bring this story up is because years later, one of the players came up to me and she was like, Coach Phebe. She's like, and my whole lesson around that was to be grateful for what you have, because there are other people who don't have as much. And sometimes we lose sight of that. And that experience being in Kenya helped remind me of that. And she brought that up. She's like, remember the soccer ball. And it reminded me again of the gift we have as coaches to teach those life lessons bigger than what just the sport. Yes, helping players learn how to, do their skill development and their teamwork, and helping that from that standpoint is so rewarding as well. But it's really the life lessons that we can share with these young players that serves them up for the rest of their life. And so, just even the other day I was at a camp and I was talking about, it was pouring rain. And I was talking to the players before the camp and I just said, hey, can we control the weather? They're all like, no. And I said, well, what can we control? And we talked about our work ethic, our mindset, our attitudes. And then a few days later, I asked them, I said, what did we talk about in day one? And one kid put up their hand and they're like, control the controllables, focus on what we can control. And it's like those moments, understanding that it's bigger than just the sport. That's, I feel like, such a gift as a coach that we can give to others.
Yeah. Phebe, I started, let me share one little quick story with you. In 1966, that tells you how old I am, we won our first NCAA championship. And for winning that championship, we got to represent the United States traveling through Africa as goodwill ambassadors. And so the first place we landed was Fort Lamé, Chad. And that's when the Biafran War started. So you got a war going on in the background. We're playing on a concrete court outside in the early mornings because you couldn't play in the evenings, it's so hot. And playing against these they were soccer players primarily, but learning the game of basketball. So we had as a 19-year-old, it was pretty confusing because you got a war going on back behind us, and we're working with these kids who are men, really, who are just learning the game. But that whole experience meant so much to me later on in doing that. And that was my first coaching, if you will, kind of experience, as well as we were competing against them because we weren't going to lose. That it was such a great experience. So I can only imagine how that when you went to Africa and understanding the conditions there and putting these soccer balls together and so forth, and how much that means to you today. So that's really interesting. Coaching means so much to us as former athletes or even athletes still participating. So as you look back, how much does faith play in what you've been able to accomplish?
Oh, it's been interesting because I feel like my faith journey has taken like life, a lot of bumps and twists and turns and all that in between. But
Mhm.
it's really faith in, believing that there's a purpose to your everyone's life and moving forward from that place and really finding out what that is. And I think that's why I say it's taken a lot of twists and turns because there have been moments where questioning like, what is my purpose? Like, why am I here? How can I help other people and make a little bit of an impact in their life in a positive way? And so having that faith to help navigate, to direct, to guide, and having faith that that when you put in the work, you will be rewarded.
Mhm.
However that looks, I think it looks different for everybody, and sometimes, there's times where you question because I'm definitely a person who wants things like, "Let's go, let's go, let's go," and it
Right.
doesn't always work like that, sometimes it doesn't happen as quickly as I would want it to, but understanding that there is a purpose and typically it does happen well, I shouldn't say typically, it happens in the time that it should. You
Right.
may not see it that way, oftentimes I'd like it a little bit faster, but when I look back, things that have happened in kind of a slower timeline, if you will. I had grown into the person who could handle it at that moment in time. And so I'm as much as, I wanted it faster in the moment, realizing that you're the person that you're growing into and how you're being shaped and molded and created through the experiences that you're growing into the person who can handle whatever it is that's coming your way, and the good things and some of the challenges as well too. So
Exactly. Yeah. Your motto, never quit on a bad day. Tell us how you arrived there and what that means to you.
yeah, so never quit on a bad day. It's a saying I heard many, many years ago, and it always stuck with me because when I look at my life and the moments that, sometimes it would have been quote unquote easier to quit. However, I didn't. I kept going, and I'm grateful that I kept going. And so, never quit on a bad day. It's interesting because the saying, when I look at it over my life, it takes on different meanings at different seasons. And that's what I think is so beautiful about the saying and the mindset of it is that in one moment it can mean not quitting soccer because I didn't make a team or not quitting soccer because we didn't win the national championship. And then another way it means, never quitting on your goals and dreams when they may not be happening in the time that you want it to happen. On a
Mhm.
personal level, I had to repeat this a lot of times to myself over the last couple of years, dealing with a really challenging family situation, one that I'm grateful that I was able to be, which was caregiver for my mom, and so grateful for the time. That being said, it was a very challenging season because it was hard. It was wanting things to be different and recognizing they're not. So how do I navigate this and still still show up with a smile in the sense of still finding things to be grateful for, to still, grateful for the time that I had with my mom and the moments and the memories that we were able to create and share and being grateful for that. And so never quit on a bad day. I always say to people, it doesn't mean you never quit something. It just means not making a permanent decision based on your temporary emotions. So
Mhm.
it's something where I love to hear from people like, what does never quit on a bad day mean to you? Because again, for people in different seasons, it means different things.
Mhm. As you say that, we've had some comments from the audience that says that mindset will carry you through anything. That was So as you speak from a female standpoint, athlete, black female, and our audience listening in, what would you say to them about overcoming their obstacles that they may face on a day to day?
My first thing I would say is I understand it's tough. There's tough moments. And I always want to start from that place of saying, I may not know what you're going through that being said, being someone who has navigated some tough situations, you're not alone. Number one, understand that you're not alone. I think that's really important for people to remember. The other thing I always say, and again, this is something that I held on to so much in this last season, is finding something to be grateful for even when you're going through a tough situation. Now, I'm not saying you're grateful for the situation per se, not saying that at all. Finding something to be grateful for. And so when I say that in terms of with my mom and being caregivers, that was such a hard situation. And I would hold on to the fact that I can be here and I can be with her. And the moments when there was clarity, when like we'd share a laugh or joke, I'd hold on to that and being grateful for that moment and finding other areas of life to be grateful for, being grateful that I'm healthy enough to be able to help and take care, and how she raised me and took care of me all, the younger years. And now I have a gift of being able to do that. It didn't minimize how hard it was and how there were moments throughout the day, many moments throughout a day where I'd be crying and just questioning it and why, and all the things. That being said, I could find something to hold on to. And that's what I would use to, like, in some ways, I say, find my smile. I'd hold on to that so that I could still find something to smile about. And so I would say, number one, you're not alone. Number two, find something to be grateful for, because when you can find something to hold on to, that moment of gratitude, sometimes it gives us a moment of clarity and breakthrough to shift our perspective, to find that strength to keep going and to keep putting one foot in front of the other. And so a lot of times too, it's about reframing a situation, looking at it through another lens. And sometimes you borrow a lens from someone else, having a conversation with someone that is like a trusted mentor or friend or someone close that you can reach out to share what you're going through. And sometimes they'll be able to shift that perspective a little bit for you. Or maybe they're just there to hold your hand and let you know again that you're not alone.
Yeah. So how can our audience connect with you and some of your social media, some of your different things that you're doing? I think we may have some that we can flash up on the screen, but how can our audience reach out and connect with you?
I would love that. Yeah. So my website is neverquitonabadday.com. So I encourage people to head over there. You can grab a starter guide of the new book that's coming out in April. Super excited about that newest book in the Never Quit on a Bad Day book series, which is coming on April 14th. So that is coming up. And then on social media, let's connect. It's Never Quit on a Bad Day. So very easy to remember. And that's my goal, is that when you're listening here, Never Quit on a Bad Day, keep that, cherish that, move forward from that place, because it will allow you to find your greatness when you keep putting one foot in front of the other.
Okay, good. And those are flashing up on the screen for those who are listening in. Phoebe, tell us about the Hall of Fames that you received. How many and whether they represent?
Oh, I'm so grateful for my exceptional teams that I've played on. And so as you mentioned in the introduction, I've won multiple national championships and played on some amazing teams with incredible athletes and coaches. And so we've been inducted into the BC Soccer Hall of Fame, the BC Sports Hall of Fame, again, different teams. So Simon Fraser University, we were inducted into the BC Soccer Hall of Fame. With the Vancouver Whitecaps, we were inducted into the BC Sports Hall of Fame. I've also been inducted into the Burnaby Sports Hall of Fame twice with two teams that I played on there, as well as the Coquitlam Sports Hall of Fame as an athlete. And so it's just been an exceptional journey. And I'm so grateful for the achievements and the honors and the accolades and the national championships. And really, though, it's all the lessons that I've learned. And some of those lessons were the hard lessons that served up first. You only get the good stuff when you push through some of the bad stuff. That's the easiest way to understand it. So they meant a lot, because it really is years of hard work and years of hard work that people might not have seen. And that's kind of what was the mission too behind Never Quit on a Bad Day, is for people to realize that it's not, we see the accolades and the achievements, but really there's a lot that goes behind the scenes that people don't see. That is the reason that these highlights come. And so to me, these just mean a lot, because it was a chance to share it with my incredible teammates and coaches. And then also the individual accolades just meant, that the hard work, it resulted in those as well too.
Yeah. As a 9-time Hall of Famer myself in both
Mhm.
and athletics, it's these are things that you don't set out to do. These are things that you achieve as a team, and as an individual. But it's the lessons that you learn in achieving those awards that carry you forward and to be successful in the things that you do, and how you can, as you're doing today, helping to influence others and let them know that they can achieve as well. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful. Congratulations.
Thank
So,
you. And to you too. I was definitely a big NBA and basketball fan. So even though I focused on soccer, basketball was another sport that I love to play and just love to watch. So
but,
congratulations.
but like you, and what I'm saying also is that a lot of people kind of hang on basketball or soccer, but it's what you transform into in the private sector, in business, entrepreneurial, and so forth, that you bring those skills set, the determination, the hard working, and going all the way back to your brownie days. That there's something there that transforms into what you're doing today. So that is important. Also, the people, when they see you and they listen to you, they know that you're not only an athlete, a Hall of Famer, but you're also an entrepreneur, and you're doing some great things in your community and with the people that you touch. So congratulations on that.
Thank you, thank you. And yes, I think that is a really important life lesson is the lessons that you learn from sport and why I'm just such a big believer of sports being such a great avenue to learn and grow.
Yeah. So what's ahead? What are you looking to do moving forward? So tell us about
What's next? Yeah,
yeah,
so well, the next book in the Never Quit on a Bad Day series, that's coming out, which excited about that, and then the opportunities to continue to work with teams in the sense of the mindset, really focusing on developing that champion mindset, so having the opportunity to work with teams kind of off the field, if you will, and more in terms of helping them with leadership development, team development, helping athletes really develop that championship mindset, and so grateful and excited to work with the teams ahead, and then also working with some coaches too to help them understand the value of team building, what that looks like, and just giving them practical tools that coaches can implement right away to help their teams feel connected and valued. And so the opportunity to share the lessons that I've learned through these workshops and courses has really been, I love it. I absolutely love it. And I'm
yeah,
grateful for the opportunity to do that. So continuing more of that.
yeah. So will you be traveling into the States at all? You're primarily focused in Canada.
Yeah, I'm open to. I'm actually down in the States quite a bit because I have family down there, and so I'm in the US quite a bit as well, and so looking to do some more work with teams down there and athletes, just wherever I can help and serve and connect, I'm always open to it.
Yeah. Well, Phoebe, it's been great having you on the show today. And we've learned a whole lot about you and about the great things that you're doing and how you were able to turn your obstacles into opportunities and be successful. And so I want to congratulate you on that. Is there any final thoughts you'd like to share with the audience?
I'm gonna say thank you to you for having me on the podcast and just being able to share. Final thoughts for the audience would just be, again, it's the gratitude piece. That really has been something that it sounds super simple to do, and sometimes the easiest things to do are the easiest things not to do, but find some way to, yeah, whether it's every day, writing down a few things you're grateful for, just find something because it will literally shift your perspective. And from there, that's where a lot of magical things can happen.
Mhm. Did you, one last thing, did you, as you grew through your experiences, did you have goal setting that you did? Tell us a little bit about that real quick, if you get.
Yeah, I'm a big believer in goal setting, and I'm so glad you shared what you said about the Hall of Fame. It's not something you put on necessarily on goals. That was never something that I would set goals for, but for when it came to business, absolutely every month, and I still do this. I set 3 goals for the month, and back then I would write them on index cards. I'd literally put the date, and I'd write it in the sense of I've already accomplished it. So I'm a big believer in writing in the present tense. I believe what gets written becomes real, and so I would set 3 goals or intentions for the month, and then break that down into what are the activities to do weekly and daily to hit those goals and those intentions for the month. And so when it came to soccer, I also set goals as well too, in terms of my own abilities, my fitness goals, to be consistent, working out, doing the extra training, and in business, and now as an entrepreneur as well too, continuing to do that. So I'm a big believer in goal setting, because there's so much power when we put pen to paper and we set those intentions. And then the key though is putting in the work, right? It's not just writing it down, it's putting in the work.
Yeah, yeah. And do you actually, as you achieve a goal, do you replace it with another goal to keep moving higher?
I do, yeah. So I continue to set goals. I also add rewards to goals too. And so the reason being, I love, like, why not have a piece of cake at the end of it? And not cake as in the actual cake, but what I do is when I write those goals down, I set a reward with them as well too. And I tell people celebrate every single win, because when we celebrate, that's what, even celebrating what we consider might be a small win, that creates the dopamine hit, if you will. I want to get all, into celebrating the next one and the next one. And that's what keeps you motivated and fueled, because you have something that you went after, you put in the work, you achieved it. Celebrate it, set a reward. It can be the smallest thing, it can be a big thing. Some of my rewards are literally super small, some of them are things that I save up for. But the key is to celebrate it, because that's what creates that loop of continuing to keep going and to stay motivated. So add rewards.
Okay, great. Well, once again, thank you. We really appreciate you taking the time to be on our program. And I can tell by the comments, the audience is very engaged and has enjoyed it also. Several have said that some of the mindset and things that you have set as goals has really helps them. And that's what they do in their lives. So we appreciate you being on the program. Best of luck as you move forward, and you're continuing to set the standard up there in Canada.
Thanks so much, George. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay.
This has been Catch as Catch Can. The game isn't over. Your success story is just getting started. Head to tinsleyspeaks.com for exclusive content, resources, and opportunities. Catch as Catch Can with George Tinsley Sr., a production of Live Stream Editors.